Be sure to follow us on TikTok at MysticSage1 for daily anime content.
One of my strongest memories of watching Fairy Tail when it was first airing was everyone debating why they hated Juvia so much. Most frequently used words include annoying, clingy, cringy, desperate, and I'll probably be repeating them a lot today. She has her fans, but she's become a divisive character, especially now since the show is finished. And over the last few years, we've had a bit of a shift in taste for what characters we find fun. Her persona hasn't aged well, but today I want to take a look at whether she was ever a good character to begin with. In other words, I'll be going through every reason that people hate her. True to Juvia's gloomy theme, this video is not exactly going to be full of sunshine. Juvia is first introduced to us as a member of Phantom Lord, when the rival guild attacks Fairy Tail. When Juvia sees Gray, she falls head over heels and immediately declares Lucy to be her love rival. That's basically the extent of her personality in the whole show. She does have the occasional moment of growth, but her character is pretty much reduced to just being in love with Gray. Sometimes it's cute, but it gets annoying very quickly. She could have a lot more to her than this, given her power, which was set up to be different from other water magic users. But she ends up coming across as one-dimensional, and the running gag gets tired so fast. She's a demure and shy young lady when she gets around the girls, especially during Hot Spring episodes. It could have been an interesting point to explore in her backstory, particularly contrasted with Erza, who's not exactly crude, but isn't shy about her body. However, she drops all of her coyness around Gray, even to the point of sexually harassing him. It's not endearing at all, and it just seems desperate and gross. There are cute ways to show a character having a long-lasting crush on someone, and this isn't it. Another trait that gets annoying fast is her childishness. The way she lets her crush distract her in the middle of a battle is very school kid, when she should be focused on the important things, like helping her guild not be murdered by the villain of the week. It reads as selfish because she puts her own feelings before everyone else. She literally loses her guild points in the Grand Magic games because she can't stop herself from going to hug a clone of Gray. The games are important to Fairy Tail, who are supposed to be like her family. They took her in and gave her love and friendship, even though they met her as an opponent as part of a guild that tried to destroy them. To be fair to Juvia, she did work hard to be accepted by them, even going as far as letting Loxus electrocute her to save Kana. But why risk throwing away their trust that she rightfully earned, just for the sake of hugging not even the real Gray, but a clone? During the Tenro Island arc, she tries to drop out of her S-Class trial because she's disappointed to not be paired with Gray. And she even turns on Lisana, calling her another love rival, even though Lisana just wanted to help. Juvia could have had many interesting and dynamic relationships with other female characters that she ended up just being rude to instead, having them play into the running joke about her jealousy, which by this point wasn't even funny anymore. In terms of her actual relationship with Gray, Juvia is pushy and clingy, which annoys him more than anything, especially earlier on in the story. The way she acts towards him wouldn't be considered funny or cute if the genders were reversed, but would definitely be condemned as creepy behavior. Being a cute girl doesn't accuse you from being a stalker. She even has handmade toys of Gray all over her room. If he were a celebrity, it would still be over the top, but maybe a bit more normal. However, Gray is essentially her coworker, which to me and many others makes the whole thing incredibly weird. It has a bit of a shock factor that's entertaining in a way when we first see it, but dear God is it creepy. Juvia and Gray did live together at one point, and for Gray it seemed to be mostly out of convenience, but definitely intended to be platonic. They had separate beds after all, although I will give Gray his credit here for choosing to live with a girl he knew was obsessively in love with him. That could be considered taking advantage of her. But Juvia would literally sneak into his bed at night, undeniably crossing a boundary set by Gray. Again, if a guy did that to a girl, it wouldn't be funny. So why is it played for laughs when Juvia does it? Her filler story of trying to find a present for Gray for their supported anniversary, only celebrated on Juvia's side since they aren't a couple at this point, is another example of Juvia being self-absorbed in her feelings. She runs around all the girls trying to figure out what to give him, and settles on making him a scarf. It's thoughtful and sweet in theory, and does make me feel somewhat sorry for her. Though, when you think about it, Gray hardly ever wears clothes on his upper half, and has resistance to the cold due to his ice magic. And she doesn't find out he's in mourning on that day until it's too late. So in spite of her stalking, she hasn't taken the time to actually get to know him beyond the surface level. Putting that all together, it's not as sweet as it first seems, even if it is sad to see Juvia beat herself up over it later on. Fairy Tail fans are definitely less inclined to feel sorry for her when considering how violent and nasty she can be towards other women. Whenever she thinks someone is interested in Gray, or that Gray has his eye on someone, she gets destructively possessive. This is when her most powerful magic surfaces, which stays true to her theme. On the other hand, it does a disservice to the other important themes in the series in general: friendship, family, and unity. Fairy Tail has so many powerful female characters who have a sensitive side, their own romances, and their insecurities, but they still manage to be strong fighters and dedicated allies to their guilds. Juvia is pretty much the exception to this rule, which I think only weakens one of the biggest selling points of the show. Not only that, but she also comes across as a hypocrite when Sharia acts the same way towards her after Leon develops a crush on Juvia. Juvia doesn't see the irony in having to fight off Leon's feelings for her, at the same time contending with someone who views her as a love rival. Again, it's obviously meant to be for comedy, since Juvia's acted this way for so long. It's funny to have someone do it back to her. No. It's actually just pulling on an already unraveled thread. It's an old joke, it's not funny, it's just annoying, and it shrinks Sharia's personality down to match Juvia, which isn't doing anyone any favors. Gray does warm up to Juvia, no pun intended, by the end of the series, with it being strongly implied that they become a couple. Even so, it feels forced, like it was written in for the sake of tying up that loose end. And for Gray to end up with someone so he's not left out, it sends a terrible message. If someone says no, they're not interested. That should be the end of it. It shouldn't mean keep going and eventually you'll end up together. That's not a plotline that flies today, and it wasn't okay back when it aired. With regard to Juvia's character development, there was so much potential that was never realized. Her personality comes across as her having low self-esteem, due to how jealous and clingy she is, especially when she thinks Gray likes someone else. It matches her backstory. She was bullied and excluded as a child because she created a rain cloud wherever she went, which people didn't like. It got so bad that she used to make charms called Teru Teru Bozu, which are supposed to ward off rain in the hopes that her power would stop so she could make friends. This whole plotline could have been given more space and handled with more care. With the help and support of her friends at Fairy Tail, Juvia could have been more confident and secure in herself, instead of being desperate for attention from Gray. With this kind of growth, she could have learned to respect boundaries, become happy being single, and spending time with Gray as a friend. We could have seen her mature into a confident and powerful woman, and there are ways that her sensitivity and emotion could have still shown through. Although she did become more serious in her fighting, especially towards the end with the intensity of the enemies, many people just had this overwhelming memory of her being jealous, clingy, and annoying. Her legacy could have been a great message of self-love and supporting friendship, and I think that was an opportunity wasted. Even the way she and Gray end up together seems like lazy writing trying to justify her behavior up to that point. Juvia sacrificed herself to save Gray, and Gray ended up doing the same. It's a beautiful moment and shows Gray's feeling towards Juvia. But knowing Gray, he probably would have done the same for any of his guildmates. So using this as a way for Gray to realize he's fallen in love with her isn't as impactful as it was clearly intended to be. It came across almost as a parody of the Romeo and Juliet death of Zareth and Mavis, despite the serious tone. So while young love lives on, fans were ultimately left underwhelmed. To wrap up, Juvia doesn't need a boyfriend. She needs therapy. Given the support of her friends, instead of being a persistent running joke, she could have had one of the most beloved character developments in the show. This is why I can't bring myself to actually hate her, but the commitment to a joke that doesn't resonate with the target audience left this potentially awesome character totally flat. Let me know in the comments if you agree. I know this can be a touchy subject with Fairy Tail fans, so remember this is all opinion. Before the video closes out, I just want to thank you so much for your support during this month of July. I'm uploading every day, and with all the different anime I'm covering, I know there's a little bit for everyone. Also, if you want a little more Mystic Sage, head on over to TikTok and check us out over there for more fun, bite-sized anime videos. I've also got an Amazon store where I sell tons of Pokemon and anime merch too, so check it out. For real this time though, thanks again for watching. I'm Mystic Sage, and I'll see you tomorrow with more amazing anime content.